A local attorney and Summit sheriff review pros and cons of Colorado's police reform bill. Phil Lindemann, Krystal, 93 News. First, Father's Day weekend was bustling on the I-70 mountain corridor with nearly 127,000 vehicles in 3 days, Monday through Friday. That's up 10,000 vehicles compared to the previous weekend, but shy of the same weekend last year by 34,000 travelers. Daily traffic this weekend was 2.5 times higher than weekend averages in late March and April, nearly double the May average, and even higher than June 2019 by 6%. Childcare centers, summer camps, and resident camps are open in Summit. So what happens if your kid is sick? Call it the 10-day, 72-hour rule. Dan Hendershot with the county explains.
If you, for example, have symptoms of COVID for 13 days, then we would say you need to exclude for an additional 72 hours beyond that.
On the flip side,
if you only had symptoms for 3 days of COVID, then you would need to exclude for the minimum of 10 days.
This mandate is the same for every workplace countywide, and child care staff are now stricter than ever, sending kids home for the smallest sign of COVID. The takeaway? If you suspect COVID, schedule a test and stay home until you get results. In other childcare news, the Childcare Tuition Assistance Program through Town of Breck is open for applications, giving cash to most families enrolled in the Upper Blue River Basin. Program Administrator Corey Burr on the impact of lost tax revenue on funding.
Some of it is paid for through marijuana sales, so that will take a hit eventually, but as of right now, the fund is sustaining for several more years.
Applications close in 3 weeks, July 15th. Apply now under the Work tab at townofbreckenridge.com. Summit County's newest workforce housing project broke ground in Dillon Valley today, and it comes with green technology never seen at 9,000 feet. Kevin Berg with developer Summit Homes Construction explains their replacement for a typical natural gas boiler.
An air source heat pump, which is essentially like an air conditioner, it just does the opposite. It pulls heat out of the air and then transfers it through like the same cooling system and makes heat for the building.
That unique system is for one unit only, available to county employees as a pilot program. The remaining units are for sale with 2-car garages. Jason Dietz with the county.
Duplex townhomes, 3 and 4 bedroom units, 100% AMI.
First units at Dillon Valley Vistas are tentatively ready for move-in by end of the year. Applications open July 1st. Colorado is bullish on police reform, passing a sweeping statewide bill in just 17 days with 43 amendments between the House and Senate. Local defense attorney Daniel Garcia sees reform as victory.
Colorado's just in a unique position that we were in session in the midst of all this, and that we also had fabulous leaders in the legislature who had been working on this for years, for decades, laying the groundwork.
And Summit Sheriff Jamie Fitzsimons agrees.
I, certainly, as your sheriff, would never argue against police reform. You know, every day we're trying to do things better at the sheriff's office.
This bill gives departments 3 years to implement 7 major changes, like the end of qualified immunity. Garcia explains.
Qualified immunity is a legal doctrine. It's not statutory. It's not in the books anywhere, per se.
Under the new law, individuals can more easily sue an officer in civil court, and Fitzsimons believes law enforcement partnerships will suffer in Summit, where agreements between departments are now too risky, including with State Patrol, considered exempt.
If we were to get into a situation where we inherited some risk on a call with State Patrol, State Patrol would have qualified immunity on that call where the deputy, the town officer, anyone else does not enjoy that immunity. They could walk away from the call and leave, again, the county on the hook.
This exclusion by liability issue extends to all local cooperative agreements, and Garcia stands by it.
It was always so entrenched, and there was always so much inertia and so much police pushback against getting rid of it or even tweaking it, that we thought it would never go away, and now it has.
Stay tuned in coming days for more on Colorado's police reform bill. Since last week, we have been covering the bright side of COVID and how shutdown could inspire diversity in Summit's tourism-heavy economy. County Planner April Kroner.
We need to diversify and get into some other areas because it's just too difficult when you put all your eggs in one basket. You have a lot more risk.
One tantalizing opportunity is a place-based economy built by entrepreneurs working remotely and living locally.
We are a desirable place to live, so now we just have to make sure that we have the technology in place to allow for people to live here, work remotely.
A place-based economy needs infrastructure, like the town-owned fiber optic project in Breckenridge, but a new remote workforce also needs new incentives and support. Delaney Keating with Startup Colorado.
It's a really important time to, I think, be looking into more public and private partnership.
The state's startup network grew 320% last year alone, but Keating reminds town officials that growth is far from instant.
These are more long-term investments, and so where it's easy to say we're going to put this X money into this for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, being very clear with yourself about what those success outcomes can be.
Diversification takes time, and Kroner is happy to see the wheels turning despite the circumstances.
While it's unfortunate, it's been a great time in terms of starting to make those inroads and starting to understand that business community here.
Don't miss tomorrow for the final report in our series on economic opportunity in the wake of COVID. And in local sports, brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Weiss Agency, this year's Frisco Triathlon, scheduled for July 11th, is postponed until next summer. Town of Frisco says logistics are too cumbersome. Social distancing guidelines require 15 minutes between race waves, meaning the stand-up paddle leg alone could stretch for 6 hours with a sellout crowd of 300. Refunds are coming soon. And the Summit Mountain Challenge Town Series opens tomorrow with a Strava-based mountain bike time trial on the Frisco Peninsula. You've got 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, to ride that route. Posted now to mavsports.com. Check it out, and remember to pay if you want to qualify for awards and standings. Phil Lindemann, Krystal, 93 News.